Good evening and welcome to Straight Talk. This evening we're talking with Shannon Miranda, the founder of Miranda's Rescue in Fortuna, California. Shannon, I'd like you to take the opportunity right from the beginning to tell us what Miranda's Rescue is.
Miranda's Rescue is a safe haven animal sanctuary that we founded in '95. Animals have been my passion for years, and I was injured in an accident at Scotia. Hurt my back and my neck, and I thought, man, you got to do something to make a difference. And so I started rescuing a few dogs here and a few cats there, a few horses, and it just exploded into what it is this very day.
And what is it this very day?
You know, it is an absolutely amazing place for animals that have been abused, abandoned, to come out and either wait for their forever home or to live their life at a sanctuary where nobody hurts them.
And how many animals are currently at your shelter?
It's a give and take, but with all the way from camels to birds to cats and dogs, there is well over 1,000 animals.
How many animals over this, you probably don't have this number on the top of your head, but a guesstimate, how many animals have you found permanent homes for in this, 22 years?
Thousands.
Thousands?
Yes. I mean, even feral cats that people think they're feral, they don't want to be around people, they don't want to be handled, we find homes for them.
All right, and how far afield do you go in finding homes?
Everywhere. I went to Boston to visit a dog named Blue that I got out of a shelter down south. Missed him tremendously, flew back with my partner. It was an amazing reunion. When he finally realized it was me, the dog went nuts. He jumped all over me. A month ago, I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's a dog named Roman that we have on our Facebook page. His time was up at a shelter. We post him from time to time. Went back to visit him. I've sent dogs to Kansas, all over. If there's a place, a home, responsible, we will send it.
You even have animals as far out as Hawaii, don't you?
Yes, we have a dog named Gracie that when I was on vacation there, I posted I was in Hawaii, and a woman said, hey, Shannon, I moved to the island, I have Gracie, and she drove the 2 hours to come see me, and I posted that on our Facebook page also.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great.
Very heartwarming.
What do you look for in the future? Where do you see Miranda's Rescue 10, 15 years from now?
Still doing what we're doing, only bigger and better. I can't foresee me doing anything else. People say they have a calling and a passion, and it's been mine forever. I mean, you and I were talking when you lived on Waddington, just up the road from us. I'd come play with your sheep.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I just loved coming down.
You came to play with our sheep.
I loved coming down playing with the sheep. So I relate with people and I get along with people very well, but I have a very good relationship with animals. I'm very good at reading them. God gave me this amazing passion and mind to read an animal, and I do it well. And I just, every day when I wake up, I love to go out and see who's there, and the animals are happy to see me. The new ones we've rescued. It's an amazing life.
When you say an animal can live out its life there, what sort of facilities do you have? I mean, how large an area? Where do you store horses?
We're based on, it's about 50 acres. There's about 34 usable acres. Some of it's river bar. We try to make the enclosures as big as we can. The hardest thing for me is the birds. A lot of these birds that were wild caught years ago before they outlawed trapping birds and putting them in cages, I try to make their enclosures as big as I can. Because most people don't know birds are super intelligent. A lot of them have the mentality of a 6-year-old child. So I feel sorry for them sitting in a cage, not being able to do anything. But we make their cages as large as we can. The horse enclosures, big enough. I mean, we put them out in the arena, they can run. The sheep enclosures are big, the cow enclosures, the camel, all those guys I can let out to run in the big field. The birds, not so much. They don't come back. So,
do you find yourself placing a lot of birds?
The only way I will place a bird, and I don't say this to make it sound arrogant, if you will. It has to be a better facility than what I have.
Right.
So if somebody's going to stick one of those birds that's in a huge flight in a tiny 4x6 cage, it's not going to happen. The birds that are used to parakeets, finches, cockatiels that fly in a huge cage, I'm not going to put them inside of a small cage in a house. They're used to flying. So they have to, if they leave my place, they have to go into an aviary that's just as large or larger.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Over the years, you've gotten a lot of support from the community, and your relationship with animal control and,
Yes.
and other shelters in the area is a pretty good one, wouldn't you say?
Very good. I don't come down on the shelters because I don't feel it's the shelter. I always say it's the public, if you will. People get mad at the shelters because dogs have to be euthanized for lack of space. It's not the people working at the county shelter. It's the people that don't spay and neuter their pets or find responsible homes. My feeling is if you're going to breed a dog, you find a home for it, you take it back. If the owner doesn't want it back, I don't care if you sell it for $5 or $500. You brought it into this world, you take it back. Well, that's not the case. So shelters have so many animals to take in that they try to do what they can. So I do have a good working relationship with the county and the cities that I contract with.
All right, let me ask you another question. Is there, or under what circumstances, would you find yourself in a position where you had to euthanize an animal?
The only, medically, if there's a dog that is medically ill, it can't eat, it has no quality of life, I will put the animal down. I don't care if it's a horse all the way down to a cat. If you have no quality of life, people look at death sometimes, in my opinion, as this horrible thing. I don't. I look at it as they go to a better place. If they have no quality of life, you're better off to let them go. Put them down. If you have a dog that has dog aggression issues, you can work with a dog that has aggression issues. It's hard to work with a dog that wants to eat people and other dogs. It's not really workable. I won't place them into a society where someone's going to get bit or another dog's going to get killed. So the definition of no kill is an animal that's deemed adoptable or placeable. So for instance, if I was to put down a litter of puppies because I had no room, then that's killing because they're adoptable.
Right.
But an animal that has no quality of life that needs to be put down, it's just better to let them go than keep them alive and have them suffer.
Right. Okay, we're going to go and talk about the elephant in the room. You've been having some major bad press.
Yes.
From, well, in this particular instance, it's all started with one particular person.
Yes.
Who about 7 years ago, it appears, has gone on a vendetta and has made substantial amounts of claims about your treatment of the animals. Everything from you just lie about the animals, that you don't take care of them at your facility, that you actually engage in wholesale killing of the animals, and it's pretty horrendous. I mean,
awful.
if you look at what you've just told me about your vision and your goals and your program and what this person says, we're talking absolute different sides of the coin.
Completely.
Do you want to talk a little bit about how this has affected you first, or would you like to talk a little bit about what's actually going on?
You know, at first, it really, really bothered me at first. I mean, to the point I wasn't sleeping, wasn't eating, just consuming my time. And then a good friend of mine said, "What the hell are you giving this energy for? It's not true." And I thought, that was my aha moment. I thought, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to save animals, not to please people, is to get the animals out of a bad situation and find them a home. Unfortunately, people can post whatever they want on Facebook, and that's what's happened. And it started with a woman me getting a call from a guy in LA, Rob, telling me there was a woman named Royce that had way too many dogs in a garage, in the heat, not getting let out, appropriate times, yada yada. I said I would take 3. And it wasn't just the first time. He called several times. I said, okay, I'll take him. I said to turn her into animal control. I don't care who it is, what they're doing, turn Royce in. Wouldn't do it. You have no idea the vengeance, what she can do. Well, I do now, because she's one of the ones that's ripping you to pieces. What she doesn't tell you is dogs were left in crates and not exercised like they were supposed to. Mm-hmm. You know, there's 2 sides to every story. Rather than them call and ask a question, they jump on Facebook and they play stuff that's nasty. So when I took the dogs, they were found appropriate homes. It was not 3 weeks after I got them. They act like we live in the sticks where there's no people at all. We live in a beautiful rural area where people just want one dogs. Right. I find wonderful homes for dogs that have aggression issues, but they only want one dog but love people. They buy an 80-acre piece of property. It's fenced around their house. They want a dog to bark to let them know if anybody's around. Those are the homes we find for those types of dogs. It is not my responsibility to send them a name, phone number, and address of where the dogs are. That's a breach of confidentiality. And if they want to slam me on Facebook, they can, because that's what they've done. I still will not give up the names and phone numbers. However, if somebody stops by my facility, which they have, I'll take a video. I'll say, hey, can I film the dog and put it on Facebook? Most of the time they say yes. And then I'll film the dog and say, hey, look who stopped by. And I'll name which is one of the dogs that I've supposedly killed that is on their Facebook page, and they see it, and they still run with the dog being dead. Gracie, the dog that we talked about in Hawaii, is one of the dogs on their Facebook page. Mariana actually spoke to this woman, and she said, no, the dog's fine, alive and well. Mariana still leaves Gracie on there as one of the dogs that I've killed.
The Mariana is Mariana Mullins.
Mariana Mullins.
Who basically started this whole campaign.
She and Royce. I was warned from several people not to deal with her because she's a loose cannon. Stay away from her. And that's not how I work. I treat everybody with respect. I don't judge anybody by what somebody else says. I thought she was a good person. There was a few red flags. She brought me a dog up, Buddy, which is on my Facebook with a former employee, Chris. And it is true that Chris was holding the dog. What she's not telling you is I called her the day Buddy was being adopted, and she was taking her daughter to an appointment. And I said that people do not want a photo with the dog. She used to call me Lovey. No worry, Lovey, just take a picture. I said, can I take one with Chris? Yes. So I snap a picture with Chris, send it to her. She sings my praises, and then months later rips me to pieces. The dog killed the neighbor's cats. We were working on that. I called her. The dog was put down without me knowing. I wish they would have called me. They did not. Mm-hmm. It killed the family Pomeranian. The daughter tried getting the dog away from Buddy. It bit her. Right. They put him down. To be honest, I probably would have done the same thing. Mm-hmm. You can't have a dog attacking people, let alone children. So I was warned not to tell Mariana what happened. I said, absolutely not. I will never remember if I make up a story. What happened is what happened. So I told her. And then it kind of just started from there. And then the trickle effect. And if it hadn't been a good friend of mine, Stella, telling me, this woman is not your friend, I probably wouldn't have known for I don't know how long. She'd been slamming me on Facebook for quite a while.
So it sounds like she made the leap from not being able to follow the dog into the homes that you have placed them in, to so not knowing where the dog is, she just made that leap. Well, you must have killed them.
Absolutely. And the ironic thing is you can check with any shelter in any county. No shelter makes adopters send you adopt photos. No shelter makes you check in. They make sure it's a good adoptable home. And once the animal's gone, the animal's gone. I've called several shelters on dogs that I've gotten in. I got a dog in Hope from Lancaster. She was involved in killing 2 or 3 other dogs. They had posted her for so long on Facebook that I like to kind of try new things, if you will, and I thought, I wonder if you actually can rehab a fighting pit bull. So I took Hope. A good friend of mine, Cheryl, brought the dog up. She wouldn't get the dog out of the car. And I'm not afraid of them. So when they're growling or whatever, I always go, oh, you better bite me because I bite harder. I just don't show fear. So I got Hope out, and Cheryl was like, oh my gosh, you got her out. Well, I took her, but I would never take another one because those dogs are so damaged from fighting, most of them.
Right.
You might be able to rehab some of them. And Hope was wonderful with me and with my son. But if anybody else walks her, she looks at you like, just test the waters and see what's going to happen. So you can only push so far. I would never do it again. I'm glad I took her to see what they kind of do, but those fighting dogs are in a league all their own.
And when you've told people that have aligned with Mariana, is that it? When you've told people and other people that work with you have told them that no, the dogs are fine, the dogs are safe, the dogs are living with us, or the animals, whatever they may be, their response basically is, you're lying?
They don't want to hear it. What they want to do is focus on the negative. There's Kathy Benson and Kay Nash that are all about the animals. They are one of the ones that sent me Gracie. They know Gracie's fine because they've seen her on my Facebook page. I've even gone to the store and I've got a newspaper and had my employees zoom in on the date and say, look at the dog, here I am, it's alive and well. When I was in Hawaii with Gracie, I posted that on there. I took the video before I killed her. I mean, it doesn't matter what I do, or if a dog shows up, he took the video before he killed it. No, that's a picture of the dog with him in his house. It's every single thing I do, they come back with something else. And so Kathy Benson, Kay Nash, they were sending me dogs even when Mariana was making her allegations. They sent me a dog, a white dog. They were going to find a home for him in Arizona. Well, the dog was deaf. I found an amazing home for him in Humboldt County. A lady lost her 13-year-old Dalmatian that was deaf. Dalmatians are commonly deaf. And I placed Jerry with her. When I was at a fundraiser, I ran into them. They sent me pictures. I forwarded them. They still, oh no, the dog's dead. So it doesn't matter if they say a dog's dead and I find it and I show them, it doesn't matter what I say. They come back with, no, the dog's dead. So they just keep the venom going. If they would focus all that energy on getting dogs out that are going to die instead of bashing people on Facebook, less dogs would die. Unfortunately, with those kinds of people, more animals are going to die because nobody wants to pull them, because nobody wants to be bashed on Facebook, so they do nothing.
Have these people gone to law enforcement to ask for their support, or to have them investigate you?
They hired a private detective, Jim Filomeo, who was going around to my hometown, knocking on doors, asking for dirt on me. If I didn't have any dirt, he didn't want to talk with them. He went down to a place that I have in Carlotta where I take a lot of my large animals. And it's in the Los Cos Outpost. I call her Granny. She's been a friend of mine forever. She has acreage down there. I take animals down there. When Jim Filomeo went down there, was trespassing on the property, he was asked to leave. Jim's the one that had the gun. We didn't have a gun. Jim had the gun. So Jim was asked to leave the property. He goes back and reports to Mariana. The gun was pulled. He had the gun. Mariana posts on Facebook, a gun was pulled to get Jim Filomeo off the property. Shannon Miranda's hiding something. Called the sheriff's department. Well, they know I've got animals down there that aren't in good shape because I put them on green feed. The quickest way to get a horse to gain weight is put them on green feed.
Right.
So when Jim was down there, he just knew he was going to find something. When somebody broke into my rescue office and took my files, they can say that I staged the whole thing, but how can Mariana contact a woman in Hawaii, contact people in Kentucky, and they're calling me and saying, why is this woman calling us? Well, because she's got my files. She can say she doesn't, she does. And I don't care what she says. My office is armed now. If anybody breaks in, the alarm goes off.
At some point, she just gets speechless listening to all of this. You say that she said call the sheriff. Have you had actual interaction with law enforcement, with these people? Has there been any time when...
They've come out. I've been turned in for I'm fighting pit bulls inside my barn. I've got padded stalls. So, of course, I have to check up on I'm like, no, you're going in the barn. I take people through my barns, in my house. I take them everywhere. I have off to the back of my barn, I built an office on the back of my barn. I do a lot of gymkhanas and stuff, and I've won a ton of saddles with my horses, so I've got all my bridles and saddles all hung up. That's the room where I'm fighting. So it's got a desk, it's got all my saddles, old trunks, stuff back in there. So when people call, I take them in there. I say, let's go look. So I take them in there. Supposedly there's blood all over the walls, there's ripped mats for me fighting dogs. Every outlandish story you can possibly make up has been said. Everything. And it's not that I'm making up stories. I've got dead bodies buried on the property. They need cadaver dogs to look for the dead bodies.
Okay. Accusations of your family killing dogs for you.
I come from a family of hunters. It's not, I love my family, but my family hunts. I don't hunt. There's stories that I give pit bulls. And I don't know why it's just pit bulls, because I do all breeds. But I guess it sounds good just to keep bringing up the pit bull name. I give pit bulls to my brother for bear bait, which is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. So they go on, they find newspaper articles of family members that have been in trouble, and then they think, aha, so let's use this as a tactic. And then they start saying, okay, they hunt, they have hounds, so they're using the dogs to hunt the bear.
In an effort, apparently, to besmirch your character, they even went as far back as an episode when you were very young.
Yes.
In which you were accused of theft.
Yes.
You want to elucidate on that a little bit?
I will own it. I was young, I was dumb, I was working at a grocery store, I was eating candy bars, drinking sodas, eating food, not paying for stuff. In my young, dumb mind, I thought it was fine. It's not fine. I got in trouble, I paid for it, I own it. I'm not denying any of it. They can rake me over the coals and say what they want to say. If that's the worst thing I've done in my life, it wasn't right. I shouldn't have done it. Looking back now, being a parent, I would be really mad at my kids if they did that. But they bring up that instance in my life as this horrible thing. And yeah, it was bad, but I own it. I'm not going to deny and say that I did not. But it's a far cry from murdering dogs, murdering animals, sending horses to slaughter, taking money for every single animal, which I don't. Cheryl Goldsmith is one that brings me dogs. I talked to her the other day. She said, you rarely charge me because the shelter she works with doesn't have the funding to get the dogs out. I have people that come down on me because I'm taking dogs from out of the area. People adopt children from out of the area. To me, a life is a life. You wouldn't tell someone to send your child back to wherever country they got the child from. Do you think that dog cares when it's sitting on a euthanasia table and it's going, I live in Lancaster, they can't take me in Humboldt because I'm not from their county? That's not how it works. A life's a life. And if I have a spot for a dog, I'm going to take it. Or a cat or a horse or whatever needs to be saved.
Stand by 3. We're in 3. Stand by 1 and 2.
I'm going to stop for just one moment and talk right to the camera. I had a long talk with Shannon before we had this interview. Normally, I have less of a talk with the interviewees, but there is so much information here, and the whole situation is so distressing that you may notice me trying to pull things out of him that he's already talked about, and he's reluctant to talk about a lot of this. So you may notice a slight difference in my approach tonight. I'm trying to stay objective, but at the same time, I'm trying to give him the opportunity to get all this information out into the open so that people can look at it and people can discuss it. And also, at a future date, if anybody has an opposing view, we'll give them the opportunity to come in and talk as well. One of the things I've noticed, Shannon, is that there has been no offer of proof for any of these allegations. Other than, well, I don't know where the dog is, so he must be dead. You must have killed him. Has there ever been any offer of proof?
There's not, because even if they ask me about a dog and I call and I find the dog, it doesn't matter what explanation they get, it's not the answer they want to hear. Because it's not going to keep the drama going. So they refer to Shannon Coates that lives in Fortuna, that used to work at Ferndale Vet, that was fired from Ferndale Vet for stealing, that came to me for a job that I hired. Reluctantly, I hired her, and she's an avid Facebooker, if you see on there, and I'm not one that I will post stuff on Facebook, but I will not use vile comments on there. No, you're not going to say the F word. You're not going to use the C word. Well, it didn't work out. So she got a job at Ace Hardware, which is fine. She would come out. I knew she was talking about me. She was saying stuff, and I figured, whatever, say whatever you want. I'd see her from my house. I'd be out working a horse. I'd see her out there. Why does she not have all these photos when she came out to visit the facility all the time? Because it was clean, because it looked nice. So then all this time goes by, and the bad blood between us was she was dishonest. She went to Reading and picked up 9 kittens from a woman that I work with just the feral cats. This woman has a lot of cats. It's in the hundreds. A lot of cats.
A lot of cats.
A lot of cats, like 400. So I work with her on the feral cats, and I place them in dairies where people feed to keep the rodent populations down. They get to live. They don't want to be around people. They get to be wild. Shannon went over there and got 9 kittens and said that she could adopt them out for $160 a piece. The woman calls me checking on the kittens, and I said to her, well, you know me better than that. I wouldn't send anybody to pick up animals. If anybody goes to get animals, it's me. And I said, I hope you didn't give kittens to Shannon. And she said, well, I did. So she panicked. So I called a friend of mine who was a good friend of hers, and she's like, I don't know why she did it. So I showed up at her house in Fortuna, and I said, where are the kittens that you used my name to get? And the woman's calling me upset. Well, it ended up, she called the cops on me because she said she gave them to a woman at Ray's Food Place that was driving them to Sacramento that she just happened to meet that night. I said, I'm not leaving till I have the kittens. So she was totally calm until the cops got there. Then she started screaming every nasty racial thing she could think of, nasty, vile comments. Well, it ended up the next day that she said she didn't have them, she gave them away. So it became a civil matter, and the police didn't go in the house, and I knew that they were in there. Well, she ended up getting a phone call, got caught. She had the kittens. She had to give them back to the woman in Reading. So then she went online posting, I worked at Ferndale Vet, and Mariana refers to all the time, refer to Shannon Coates, refer to Shannon Coates.
When you say you meaning that she's speaking of herself?
Yes.
Okay.
So when Mariana says this is what Shannon Coates had to say, that I'm a no good murdering effing blanking, I worked at Ferndale Vet, they gave Shannon a quota each week as to dogs that he could kill. He'd walk in there and say, I'm in a bad mood. These 8 or 9 dogs die, which is an absolute lie. It's an absolute lie. So she makes the whole thing up. So then, Fortuna PD, this is why I need people to call, if they want to know the truth, they need to call Robin Paul at Fortuna Police Department at 725-1423, area code 707. Robin will talk to people, and she has. Shannon's cat was brought to my facility from Fortuna Police. It was out there not even 48 hours before Fortuna realized that they brought the cat out to me a day early before they were supposed to. Shannon found out the cat was out there. She sent somebody out to get the cat. They got the wrong cat. They came back out the next day. Robin called and asked if her family could come out. I said, yes. My employee that works for me used to be good friends with Shannon. Candy said, this is her cat. I forget his name. This is not the cat. Well, they were saying no, the big old long story. Long and the short of it was, the mother, Shannon's mother and daughter came out to get the cat. She heard the little girl speaking. The cat came out. She took it right to Ferndale Vet in Fortuna, and was crying hysterical, and they said, nothing's wrong with your cat. Your cat is fine. It's purring, it's healthy, it's fine. Well, she takes it home and Shannon gets the cat wet and posts it online and said, look what Shannon Miranda of Miranda's Rescue did to my cat. It smells like death. He almost killed my cat. So that's why Robin, Paul, has said to call her at the police department and she'll tell you the real story. Robin called the vet. The vet said that cat was absolutely fine. Shannon wanted me arrested. They said, arrested for what? We took the cat out there. And so what people don't know about Shannon is I'm such a horrible, evil, murdering person that she signed her dog over 3 weeks before that for me to find a home for at the rescue. She couldn't keep it in. She kept paying fines at Fortuna Police Department, and she said, take it to Shannon. So she goes to the police station, pays the fine. Fortuna PD brings me her dog for me to find it a home, but she's posting online that I'm a dog killer, I murder them. When she worked there, that I beat cats in the head with shovels. She knows where they're buried. I said, well, go show them. So every time an allegation comes up, I said, you have an allegation that I supposedly killed all these cats and I buried them. Go show the police where they're at. And all they say is, the police are your friends. You have them eaten out of your hand. They won't do anything. Well, take them out there and show them. And they never do.
Stand by 3.
Police are your friends. And, I'm not sure on what basis they say the police are your friends. I believe I saw at one point or another that they were talking about it had to do with your family and your
Yes.
family's ties and whatnot. You want to elucidate, explain a little bit what sort of family ties
Yeah.
you have with law enforcement that make them support you so much?
I love my family, but my family does not have a good track record. I mean, there's been jail times, there's been prison times, arrest, DUIs. If we are, quote, the police aren't doing anything because of my family, they would overlook everything that's already happened and been done in the past. Mm-hmm. You break the law, you get in trouble. The easy thing to say is the police are eating out of your hand and they won't do anything because they have nothing else to go on. Nothing. So they say that the latest allegation I heard is that Humboldt County is driving down to my place and paying me to take dogs, and then they drive them up and euthanize them. Which is the most ludicrous thing. I mean, I'm reading it going, did somebody actually even print this? So they're driving down and they're on a county where everyone's in budgets anyway, crunch numbers, money's tight. They're going to drive down, pay me for dogs, and then drive them and euthanize them. It doesn't even sound feasible, but people believe it. There's a Julie McCarty that rips me to pieces, who's never met me. She does horse rescue, dog rescue. I could very easily go on there and make something up about her, just say something. And then people would start saying stuff just because they love nasty stuff on Facebook. They see it and they want to post stuff. There's an Erin Pina that I've never met that says horrible stuff. Cindy Douglas, I've never met, says horrible stuff. These guys post and post and post. On and on and on. Never met me. Never met me. They hear and read what they want to believe and then just post nasty stuff. Continually.
It's kind of horrifying.
It's absolutely horrifying. I mean, I've got lists and lists and lists of all this stuff. There's a person that was slamming me that I guess has taken their post down. Naomi Carpenter, her was ripping me to pieces. Again, she took the post down, but it's kind of like shutting the gate after the horse is out. Mm-hmm. She's tearing me to pieces, telling me what a no good, horrible person I am, but yet her foster was arrested the day she's slamming me, was arrested, taken to jail for dead dogs and dogs with open sores and maggots in them. And I'm being torn to pieces by this person that's never met me. I could have jumped on that post and I could have slaughtered him. I don't do that. You will never see me on a post ripping someone to pieces ever, whether I know the story or not. I don't do that.
Any incidents of anybody who has come to their senses after?
There is. There's a Kathleen man that called me and left me. I saw that it was out of the area and I was busy and I kind of listened to it at first and I thought, I don't want to hear one more drama from one more person that has something to say. Well, then when I finally sat down, I listened to it and it was an apology saying, hey, I actually, did my research and looked at this and, friends of mine pointed out, if one person has done so much bad, they would be in jail. So I called her back. And she gave me a very sincere, heartfelt apology. And I accepted her apology. And she's PM'd me since and said, thank you for being you and all the hard work that you do, and it kind of justifies that there are some good people still out there that don't just jump on Facebook and say bad stuff. And to me, somebody that owns it and apologizes is worth more than somebody that has a grudge that keeps posting bad stuff because they think they have something to prove, and they just keep it going and going and going.
Stand by 3.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem on Facebook on many levels, and one that's certainly open for future discussion on this show. Well, one of the questions we have is refers to all the different people who are jumping on the bandwagon.
Yes.
One thing that I noticed, and I may be wrong, but a lot of the comments on this Facebook page seem to be similarly written. There's syntax errors that are quite similar. There's grammatical errors that are quite similar. There are misspellings that are identical.
The same.
And there are phrases used that it almost sounds as if it's being orchestrated by one person. There are a couple of ways that could be done. They could be saying to friends and acquaintances, here, you post this.
Yes.
Or it could be, and this is very sophisticated, and I don't know if it's would apply here, but there are the bots, the automated sound bites, or the automated messages that show up over and over and over again. I don't know if that could be. There's enough distinction between each posting that it may not be, but some of the people, like you say, you don't know them, they've never seen you, and yet they're making these comments, and they've never had any any kind of association with you. They've never sent you an animal. They've never.
Some of them I know are true because I've know very good friends that know them that just say, watch out. They're people that fly off the handle. They love to toot their own horn about what they rescue, what they do. They talk about, well, I don't have time. I'm going to feed my horses and I'm going to feed my 8 dogs. But then there's ones where grammatically it's the same things misspelled, the same verbiage, which are probably made up Facebook names to make it look like there's more people to hate me, which this is, I've always said this is not a popularity contest, and I'm not doing it to make people like me. I love when people love and support, but there are people in the county here that don't like me. Ray Christie's a prime example. I supported that man for years. He's the big cockfighter that got in huge trouble. I have several animals at my rescue to this day that I will not give back. And when it went to court, I said I will euthanize them first before they go back there. Because as I showed you photos of horses with their feet are so curled up, I've had people working on the PG&E wires at Dow's Prairie send me video and say, can you do anything? Nothing is done. He's one of the ones that's Mariana's ally that just know that when you talk to Ray Christie, if you have an issue, the man carries a tape recorder everywhere he goes. He loves to record people. And I knew this. So I don't care that he recorded me. What they did was they photoshopped the recording to make it sound a certain way. And so people that are well-educated and biased and don't want to cause trouble, they're like, this is BS. You can tell this is photoshopped. People that want to cause trouble, Miranda's a horrible person. They don't even have my sex right. Several people have gone on there and said, what a horrible person. She should be put to sleep. She should be stopped. So they're posting stuff and they don't even know that, A, I'm a man. They don't have my sex right. They don't even know. They're just reading what somebody says without researching what's going on. So it's frustrating. There's another woman, Leanne, lives in Fortuna. Was a very good friend. She was coming out to my place and getting inside the aviaries, and we had to kick her off the property. Her bird flew off. She was devastated. We weren't kind of getting along, but I felt bad her bird was gone. So we put out PMs, posters, tried to help. I found her bird just down from her house. She lives just across the road, used to, on the bluffs. She won't clip the bird wings. She will not clip their wings. So the bird got away. Family told me they found this bird. It was in the middle of winter. It was freezing cold. It was really sick. They took the bird to a vet, and they started telling me what the bird would say. Got all excited. I said, oh, I know who owns this bird. So I called Leanne, all excited. Hey, I found your bird. Well, the people that found the bird, all they wanted back was the $500 for the cage. They weren't going to charge her the $1,500 for the vet bill. So Leanne calls the pastor of her church in Fortuna. He meets her out there. He hands the couple a $500 check and says to Lee, no, the cage is staying here with Miranda's. This is my donation to him. So Leanne's telling everybody that I charged her $500 to get her bird back, which is absolutely not true. So that's how she blasted me. That's the bird story, me charging people to get the bird back, and the bird's gone. She takes it home, she doesn't clip its wings, and it's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
How has this affected
Okay,
the business
this is
end
what I
of
wanted
this?
to get to.
It hasn't, it's been good and it's been bad. There are people that read it, people that are good friends of mine that kind of question, oh my gosh, what are they saying? People that I kind of just know through seeing them at a grocery store or just seeing them at a gymkhana or wherever I'm at, kind of think, wow, oh my gosh, that I'm this horrible devil because they're reading all this stuff online. You obviously don't know me that well if you think I've done half of what I'm being accused of. When Ryan Burns was going to do that story, I told him no several times. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And finally, I was on vacation enjoying myself and I saw a post.
Stop for 1 second. This story was in the
Lost Coast Outpost.
Lost Coast Outpost, and it was, about 3 years ago?
Yes.
Yes.
About.
And and it can be Googled.
It can be Googled.
It's findable. So.
Ryan Burns called me, Lost Coast Outpost, and he told me what the allegations were, so I looked it up on my phone. I actually had a friend look it up because I still had my flip phone at the time. And I called him back and I said, if I've done half of what Mariana is accusing me of, I should be in jail. Write the story. So he did. And so the picture of the horse that she's reposted again, that's in the slaughterhouse with its legs chopped off, that she said that it was a friend of mine's that I sent to meet in Nevada, is a lie. It's a stock photo. The picture of the guy in the orange jumpsuit on the Lost Coast Outpost that's covering his face, he's got tattoos on his arms, she said was me being arrested. Ryan found out it's actually a guy that was on trial for murdering a 4-year-old child in New York. So she thinks it's cute to post this stuff, and people, I guess, choose to believe nasty evil. He asked her several times, Ryan did, show me the proof, show me the proof, show me the proof. We've got it, we can't. Private investigator says wait, law enforcement says they can't do it, they don't have the money to prosecute. Every elaborate story as to why she can't give up the evidence that she's keeping, that she can't give up, because she doesn't have any. She's got made up stories. And yeah, people that I've gone to court against or former employees, they make up stuff. They say stuff. Employees get mad when they're fired. They're going to make stuff up.
Yeah.
My employees have not. I've had employees that I've let go for various reasons, and they're not out there bad-mouthing me. My employee that's holding the dog, they called him. Chris said, if you think I'm going to talk bad about that man, you're crazy. But they're saying that Chris called and told them that, oh, I just held this dog and it really wasn't adopted, and they just make it up.
5 minutes in, Lisa. Okay, so we're back on Scott.
The question comes to mind is that why haven't you done something through the courts to attempt to stop this?
Mariana was sent a cease and desist letter, and I guess to be nice, I can appreciate somebody's passion, but when you verge on the borderline of crazy narcissistic trying to get something done because you believe in your mind it's what's happening, she posted the cease and desist letter online and made a comment, go ahead and sue me. It didn't work when the lawyer sent me a letter last time. So that was in reference to her taking the horse off that's in the slaughterhouse.
The picture of the horse, yeah.
Part of me thought I shouldn't do this interview because she's going to love it. She has no life, obviously, because this is all she consumes herself with. So this is just going to drive her that much more to everything that I have stated that's fact, that you can prove through talking to the police, calling Rob and Paul, calling Ferndale Vet, calling anybody you want to. She's going to come back with some other story. So going to court, all it's going to do is they will warrant her to stop saying what she's saying, but all she's got to do is call a friend and say, hey, would you post this about Miranda's? I hate him. And so the friend can do that. Then if you go after that person and they give them an order to stop, then that friend can call another friend and say, hey, you'll be broke. You will never be able to afford all the filing fees, all the cost. And my attorney has said the amount for slander, defamation, $5,000, $15,000, you're going to spend way more than that in and out of court, in and out of court. The best thing to do is lead by example, which is what I try to do, and which is what I've done all this time. But every single time their dog trainer, Melanie Sanders, I read some posts, and if this is what she's saying, she ought to be ashamed of herself. She's saying that dog looks afraid. The person looks afraid of the dog. On my adoption photo on my website, how many of us have taken selfies of ourselves and we've thinking, geez, that looks terrible? Or taken a picture of a dog. I was just sharing with you, I've got 2 husky crosses. The minute they see my camera, they cower. The minute they do. So we put the best photo on there that we can. But for their professional dog trainer to evaluate every photo and then give her professional opinion is not right. That's not somebody that cares about dogs or knows dogs from a photo. It's just not right.
It's not right.
It's not right.
As I've said before, and you'll excuse me for a moment again, it's hard to be objective in an interview like this.
48 in.
Having known Shannon for as long as I have and known his love of animals, this is difficult. And I also want to say that we talked well before this and discussed whether or not he actually wanted to do this show. And there was no pressure on him to do it from our side. We wanted to give him the opportunity, however, to come on and talk about this and let people see both sides of the story and give the public an opportunity to see both sides of the story, because Shannon is not responding in kind or even in denial to these items. He is trying to run his business and take care of his animals as best he can. And I offer, once again, the option to Mariana Mullins and her minions. Please, if you feel that you have something legitimate to say and you want to come on and say it, you may come and we will talk. I would suggest, however, that one of the things that we would look for and ask for is some solid evidence of what you're saying.
Please.
So at this point, let me ask, is there anything else that you would really like to talk about?
Well, the frustrating thing is the people that do believe in me, the other rescues that send me dogs that I work with, they're being slammed all over on Facebook also. These are good people that are doing something to get dogs out. I have a dog named Trixie that comes to mind right now. Yamin was begging people, please take this dog. She's a wonderful dog. There's nothing wrong with her. Her time is just up. Nobody wanted the dog. So she's pulled, brought to me, and then everybody wanted the dog. Then it was a big issue. Don't send the dog there. Don't send the dog there. There was a Carrie Mills that lives in LA. She had got a dog named Nick out. Wanted to update photos on Nick. I sent her a few photos. When she found out that it was 12 hours to drive the dog, she told Stella, I'm not taking that dog. But she goes on there, oh, he killed my dog, my first rescue, gives this big sad story about her poor Nick that I supposedly killed, that she wasn't driving up here. The dog was going to end up right back at the shelter. So she sends stuff to Mariana all the time. Nico was a pit bull driven from Florida, from Southern California all the way to Florida. That dog was in a car for 11 days, 10 days, 11 days. They drove him the 4 or 5 days to Florida. When they got there, they refused him because he had dog aggression issues. Mm-hmm. So they show up at my house. I felt sorry for the dog. And there'd been something going on where Fortuna was doing like Civil War days or something. There was loud explosions or booms, and I had dogs everywhere. I had them in horse stalls, I had them in kennels, I had them everywhere, waiting for people to come and get their dogs. These people showed up, I liked them. I said, I was a little frustrated, but the woman says that I pulled the dog out of the car and I hit him on the head and I was, well, why didn't she keep the dog? Why didn't she keep him if I was so horrible? They posted online that I was an asshole and I was horrible to the dog, but they left him there. They left the dog there. I felt sorry for him. He was in a car all that time, that he wasn't aggressive and they were Chihuahua people. Yes, the dog has major aggression issues towards other dogs, but it's so easy not to tell the whole side of the story, that he was driven all the way to Florida, then driven to my place. And I accepted him because I felt sorry for him. So I guess what I would end with this whole thing with people thinking that I only take aggressive dogs, it's not true. I've never said that I'm a certified dog trainer. I've never said I've got a degree. I've always said what I do works for me. I've never been through school. It's all been through learning and error, trial and error myself. It works for me. There's lots of people, I fixed a lot of dogs and I've sent them back, but I tell them, it's like somebody, and this is not judgmental, that has, and they will understand this when I say it, that has a drug addiction or alcohol problem, they have to work on it every day. It's the same with those animals. It's in their brain. People are the only ones that do things vicious to hurt someone else. An animal doesn't do something out of just viciousness just because. In that animal's mind, everything that animal's doing is the right thing to them. So we have to fix them. So I would just encourage people to really stop and think before you start posting stuff. When you read something that's nasty, it's so easy to jump online and be judgmental and say something. But if we're all for the end goal, which is saving animals to get them a home, this is not how to do it. These people that I've mentioned, they could care less if an animal lives or dies. This is no longer about saving animals. It's a vendetta about trying to bring me down, making up nasty lies to just prove a point when there is no point. When they talk about me, they talk about my family, they're slamming everybody. Would they like that to happen to them? Because I know a few of these people that have had comments made about them and they've called me and they're devastated. Not even half of what's been said about me.
Shannon, I'd like to thank you for coming on this evening.
Thank you.
And I what can I say? I feel badly for you for what's going on. And I hope that what we've done here this evening might offer you some ease from these problems.
I hope so. And I really encourage people to call the Fortuna Police Department, because Robin will discredit their star witness, as they say, as to how horrible I supposedly am. But I thank you so much for having me on, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. It was an eventful evening, and there was a lot of information to take in, and I hope you stayed with us the whole time, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
So everybody knows the first weekend in August is my largest event of the year. It's my wine and cheese, and this year I have decided that we're not going to have the event. We did send out mailings and newsletters, but most of you know, some of you know, I broke my pelvis. I'm only about 7.5, 8 weeks out of surgery. There's just too much work. There's no way that we can put on an event. So the wine and cheese for this year is canceled, but next year will be bigger and better.